This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
If you're a seeker, don't miss the inspiring book Shamanic Awakening, Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Cochran's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers throughout the Americas. Sandy's initiations across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt, combined with her knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth, influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private readings, sacred international journeys, a meditative CD, and her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate your earth walk and create a deeper connection to yourself. Find this and more at her website, starwalkervisions.com.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I am your host. I am your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that, for the last 26 years, I have been calling the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday, right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Sirius Digital 8 Broadcast Network, Wi-Fi Broadcast Network, and the list goes on and on and on, with record number of listeners right around the world. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our main X-Zone Radio website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Now, for all of the great programming that we have for you, 7/24/365 on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. What a day this is. First of all, to all the lovely ladies of the X-Zone Nation, happy Valentine's Day. Mwah! To each and every one of you. Richard deRose, who was on the line, that wasn't for you, Rich. That was for the ladies who are listening.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
And but I've got Rich here today. I love having Rich on because, you know, he's a good friend, known him for a number of years. He's a great author. He's a business person who associates with what is going on in the political scene in Washington. And Rich, as you and I were talking before we went to air, what a hell of a day today has been for the Trump administration. Not only for the Trump administration, but North Korea has successfully fired a solid rocket missile that has a range of 1,200 kilometers. We also know that the Russians have fired a cruise missile in violation of a U.S.-Russian treaty, and they have a surveillance ship off the coast of the United States. Kellyanne Conway has said one thing. Sean Spicer has said another thing when it comes to the dismissal of General Flynn. And then there's the question, when did the administration know that General Flynn, before Donald Trump was in office, had communications with the Russian ambassador? And there's even information coming out now that Flynn also was the guest at the Kremlin for a dinner with President Putin, and that he was paid to go there, which again is in violation of the Code of Military Conduct. So where do you want to start this?
Well, I think if you look at General Flynn, he was a bad choice to start with because he had these controversies. They knew about the meeting with had pictures of it, with the Kremlin,
sure,
with Putin, and anyway, I don't know why he picked him, but it seemed like it was a setup. But on the other side of the coin, Trump got rid of him quick, and that's kind of in his favor because that, the big thing is he's a fascist and he's going to, control everything and this, that, and the other. And so, Trump did allow him just a day or two before he let him go.
But it took Trump 16 days to let him go.
Well, when the story first broke, but they had to, actually vet it and this, that, and the other. But, the thing is, generally speaking, all these people that he's appointed are going to be under close scrutiny, and, they're businessmen. They do things, this, that, and the other. So this is going to be just an ongoing situation. But there are people that can get stuff done and actually make a big difference to us as citizens of the United States of America and the world, for that matter.
But even
they are achievers,
I understand that, but even the popularity of the White House is sinking minute by minute. The people who voted for President Trump are losing faith in him in record numbers. And this is something that the United States has not seen before. So you and I are going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to delve into this topic because this is reality. What we're seeing break is reality. And Richard deRose is our special guest, and Richard and I will return as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, if you'd like to send me an email, it's very simple, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. And don't forget to check out the X-Zone Broadcast Network website at www.xzbn.net. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere, Florida. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine such as hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining rooms can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you visit, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic downtown Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best.
Richard deRose is our guest, www.brainwashedareyou.com. Who do you believe these days? This is the first time when there's been a major controversy, and I'm talking about what happened with General Flynn, that President Trump has kept quiet.
Well, I think Trump, is going to let this one go. Like I said, he let, General Flynn go. And it's just like, this is too much to deal with right now. But I think he's handling it the right way, because what is he going to say? Kellyanne Conway, come out and said what she has. But, she made that slip, supporting Ivanka Trump's clothing line, which, sometimes people do things in a way that they're really kind of tired, like you say, how bad she looks lately. And they really kind of want to sabotage themselves just to get out of the heat of the moment.
Couldn't we say the same thing?
They will say things, do things that will push them out the door, and I think that's probably where she may be going.
Well, couldn't we say the same thing about every other president that has been in power, that when they bring somebody into the White House for a dinner or to give them a civilian medal, that they are in fact endorsing everything they do? So what did Kellyanne do that was so wrong?
Well, she wasn't supposed to, recommend somebody buy something, but basically what she's saying is, hey, let's support this girl.
Exactly.
Because that's who she is as a person.
Yeah.
I say the same thing. I don't wear dresses, but I want to go out and buy some of her clothing or shoes or whatever just to say I'm behind you. But
yeah.
Nostrums and the rest of them, as weak as they are, Macy's went against him, took their ties out and this, that, and the other, and even where I am right now, they just closed our store, and in a matter of 2 months, everything was sold out. Closed like 150 stores that they own. Not all Macy's,
But isn't that the right of the retailer to do what they want? If they want to express, they want to express their political views by having the product removed, that's part of business.
But when they make that an issue, bring it out in the open, they should have just quietly taken her stuff out of their stores and not make an issue of it.
Was it the retailer that made it the issue, or was it the media that made it the issue?
Well, both. They should have kept it quiet. Was it TJ Maxx told their people to basically hide her stuff, the other stuff, and take down these signs they had in the stores, and they confirmed that. So, they didn't play it very smooth, and that does make people mad. It made me mad.
You know what I don't understand?
I'm a Trump supporter.
You know what I don't understand, Rich? The other day there was a sweep done by ICE, and hats off to them. That's what they're supposed to do. There was this illegal mother who was caught with forged documents. She was shipped back, and all the bleeding heart people in the grassroots organizations, they're all behind her. Like, why ship her out? She broke the bloody law. She's a mother. She's got children. Yeah. Well, she should have thought of this before she had the kids, that she wasn't illegal. She should have thought of the circumstances and the repercussions of what she was doing. Like, what do people in the United States want these days? Do they want justice, or do they want selective enforcement?
Right. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing is that's what's polarizing the nation, because some people just want it to be right, Let's make this thing work.
Yeah.
Retail to Hell talks about we can't continue on giving these crazy people all the stuff they want. They're like, like I say, a bunch of birds in a nest just screaming for the worm, because they all have to competing. And the system can't provide that. And if they continue to ask for it, it will fail, period. And there won't be anything to take its place, and we'll be so heavily into debt, it'll be pathetic. And so, but they continue on. They won't give up, and you can't reason with them. You can't show them that, we have a huge deficit. And how do you think Obama did so well, which not really well, but how it looks like it's not a terrible economy, because he did it on borrowed time and money. And that money has to be paid back, and the next generation or two are the ones that are going to suffer. So he could look good.
Yeah.
They don't get that, and that's shocking to me. Their elevator doesn't go to the top floor. They're retarded in that way.
Something else I noticed today, speaking about President Obama, when all the different congressmen were calling for all these different congressional hearings, there was one congressman who was white, followed by 3 congressmen, led by Elijah Cummings, who, were against the president. And I really believe that there is still a problem when it comes to the racial divide, not only in the country, but in Washington and in politics.
Well, they play that card because that stirs people up. And, the whole idea, I think, here was originally to get these particularly black people stirred up so they'd, cause some national crisis where you'll have to send troops in, whether Obama was in office or Trump or someone later. So there could be this annihilation of this group of people. I mean, when you think about what we've done to help black people out that were brought here by our forefathers and how little they respect. I just saw a video today where this black young male in probably high school was kind of beating up on a teacher, not physically touching her, but giving her a really hard time, and she was black. And, that kind of stuff goes on every day in our schools. And so we can't teach our kids when all this disruption's happening, and they have no respect because they plan to do nothing with their lives, maybe sell drugs or this, that, and the other, or live off women that are getting, welfare payments, transfer payments. And it's just like a hopeless situation. And yet we keep putting more and more money into it, and they're having more and more babies, and now they want the illegals to do the same thing, and these immigrants are getting as much as $30,000, $40,000 a year, and you're not even maybe making that much, and you're having to pay all these taxes. It's ludicrous.
It pisses me off that immigrants are treated better, and I'm talking as a Canadian here in Canada, are treated better than Canadians. It pisses me off that all this money goes to refugees instead of veterans who have given so much to defend and to protect our way of life, our freedom, our democracy. And you've got idiots. I'm talking about Canada, Justin Trudeau. God, I will do everything I can the next time there's an election to make sure he gets knocked out of power. Because, take care of Canadians first. Once you take care of the Canadians, once Canada has zero unemployment, once Canada doesn't have any homeless people, once Canada has every member of the Canadian Armed Forces taken care of, once every child going to school has food in their tummy and clothes on their back, and every other negative aspect of society is taken care of, then open the doors. But this has gone ridiculous. Like, we're too damn politically correct. And I'll tell you something, as a Canadian, nobody ever asked me if I wanted all these refugees coming in. Nobody asked me if I wanted to be politically correct. So where does, so what is the reason for voting? What is the reason for saying that we have a say in what our countries do? The same thing is the same in the United States as far as I can see. Richard, am I right? Am I wrong?
You're exactly right, but that's another reason why people love Trump, because he's the first president in my lifetime that stood up for the little guy that's been watching this happen, that's felt powerless to change anything, and just ramrodded and taxed to death and this, that, and the other. And it's, these dynamics that are taking place right now are pretty strong. We saw this in the Civil War, just before the Civil War, and we all saw, just before the Revolutionary War. These same forces that are work. Fear, people afraid they're going to lose everything they've got, and aggravation and distrust of government. Those are the same forces that cause these situations. And then they were provoked by, retaliation of sorts. In one way, we're seeing these riots in different places in the United States. That just angers you, and you think, well, just kill them off. I don't think like that. That's not me. But I'm getting tired of it. Kill them off.
I can't
bring
understand.
The troops out. Do what you have to do.
I can't understand why the courts ruled against President Trump's executive order of the travel ban, because I read the law pertaining to his right to stop aliens from coming into the country. It's in black and white. So how could the judicial system actually do what they did?
Well, the 9th District is the most liberal district. They're 80% of the time, to 86% of the time, their rulings are reversed in the Supreme Court. So what you did is they picked the most liberal court they could go to, and they're playing politics. I mean, if anybody thinks the United States courts are courts of justice, they're kidding themselves. They don't know anything about it. You can talk to lawyers and people within, the administrations of these courts. They're all a joke. Our justice system is a joke. And if you want to kill somebody in the Middle East to bring justice to them, like Bush used to talk about, my God, I mean, that's just the most ludicrous statement you can make. Because, if you're in the court system in the United States and you're like 98% chance of winning, you've got less than a 50% chance of winning if, the way the system works, if you got the opposition's got a good lawyer. That's wrong. If 85 or 98%, or 100%, that's one thing. But when you start talking about 50%, you've got courts of injustice.
But if the law states unequivocally that the president is within his rights as president to say that people cannot come into the country who do not have the legal right to come in, who have not already gone through the vetting process, who have already who do not have the appropriate visas. What does this say about the actual authority of the President of the United States? Why, doesn't this undermine his entire authority?
Absolutely, and also shows you that it's a strategy used by the liberals to undermine his, like you say, his overall, ability to get things done. And that's exactly what their plan was. But this will be overturned, the Supreme Court.
But how many people are going to come into the country now who do not have? Let me rephrase it. ISIS knows what's coming down the tubes, down the pipe, right? So instead of, wouldn't it only make sense that they start mass putting their people into these refugee situations so that they get into the United States now before the travel ban is put in place?
Absolutely, but that's what Trump's saying too. That's another reason why I think he's endearing more and more people towards him. Now, they may not stand with him because people are cowards and they won't stand up with him, but they're behind him because most people, believe it or not, want their country to survive, and they want their life to be normal. They want to be able to buy food, and shelter and clothing and medicine or whatever they need. They want hospital care and this, that, and the other. They don't want that disrupted. They may talk the big talk. Even some liberals feel that way. But in the end, if they think they're in danger of losing that, it's just the people are hypocrites.
I love his idea about having a safe zone in Syria.
I do too. That makes common sense.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Right.
It does, and it would work. So once again, I do not understand why so many people want so many people entering the United States that are a cost and a burden to the economy of the United States. And the same thing for here in Canada. What is the logic, if there is any? Let's talk about that when we come back from this break. X-Zone Nation, Richard deRose is my special guest. www.brainwashed Are You? And Rich and I will be back on the other side of this break. And I think I'm going to take some blood pressure pills while I'm at it, Rich. Either that or a good old shot of Jack Daniels. All right. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we'll be back. Don't go away.
When do you think we'll be back in about a minute?
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world.
Welcome back, everyone. Richard deRose is my special guest this hour, www.brainwashedareyu.com. Richard is the author of a couple of great books. Visit his website. I believe your books are still available online, Rich?
They are.
Okay. And, Rich, I know you disagree with me about, a few things, and it's okay to disagree as friends. And tell me why you disagree with me and what in particular you disagreed with.
Well, particularly about Trump support. I mean, presidents always lose, support back and forth. But there's a core group on both sides, Republican or Democrat, that 33, 35%, whatever. And those people are 100% behind Trump. They love what he's doing. They're very proud of what he's doing. They've been waiting for something like this to happen for years. And the other people are confused. They don't really know what's happening. They can't see the wisdom in what he's doing. They don't understand why he is particularly trying to fix things that are fundamentally wrong that I bring out in Retail to Hell when it was published in 1988. So those are 98. Anyway, those are situations where, he basically is winning those people's support. And he could have lost them if he started becoming more liberal. But he wasn't. He went with the conservative part, the Supreme Court justice and everything like that. So that's going to be a big fight. But in the end, he's winning. And another thing is in strategy is to sidetrack people. He is accomplishing a heck of a lot behind the scenes. And he's throwing these bones out to the Democrats, and they're going after him. And there's so many of them, they're like, chasing their own tail, trying to deal with it. So you're going to see situations like the Flynn situation, and it appears they're winning, but in the long term, he's just beating them to death.
But what about, the congressional hearings that are now being set? There has never been a time where a national security advisor who has been in the position for the short period of time that General Flynn had been part of the administration, with so much controversy around him as General Flynn, who is now going to be called at the last count in front of 4 congressional hearings. How is this going to reflect on the president and the president's administration? What this going to do?
Well, he wasn't there, and he wasn't in office at the time. This all happened prior to him becoming, the inauguration and everything else, and Trump becoming president. So you can make a big deal of it if you want to, or you can focus on, fixing problems and moving on. And I'm sure they'll try their best, the press will, to make it a big issue. But for most people, they don't see it that way.
And yet there's a lot of members of Congress and the Senate on both sides of the aisle who are now talking about impeachment procedures.
Well, I think that's all just a strategy, too, that, they were talking about trying to keep him from getting into office. That didn't happen. This will just continue on, and it's going to be the same old thing. It's just a strategy they have, and just to keep their bones in a sense, so that the Trump administration has to chase after them. I mean, he hasn't done anything to be impeached, and the president has an enormous amount of power.
Well, okay, I understand that, and I'm playing the devil's advocate here. You understand that, my friend?
Right, exactly.
Okay, because what if during any of the investigations prior to the hearings, there is a definite connection of acknowledgement that President-elect Trump did know that Flynn was, communicating with the Russians, with or without his consent? What happens then?
Well, this is complicated because we have all these ethics, rules and laws and whatever, and people aren't abiding by them anyway. So, this is just something else to snag somebody on. You can probably snag almost anybody for any reason on these ethics issues. Like I said, this was previous to him getting it, being approved by the Senate. And, it's just a sad situation that it happened so quickly in particular. But maybe it's good that it gets it over with. But I admire Trump for going ahead and getting rid of him real quick.
Well, he really had no choice.
Well, he could have hung in there. I was even reading something in the New York Times, which, of course, if they was somebody they could say something bad about Trump, it'd been the New York Times. It said there was a 50-50 chance he could have gotten through this. But Trump saw how the media was just snapping at it, and he said it's time to go, and he did the right decision. He's a very smart man, has a super high IQ, and people like to put him down because they don't agree with him. But it means their opinion means nothing when you deal with reality. The guy is super smart and knows how to manipulate people like you wouldn't believe.
Yes, but all right, you said something there that raises a flag. If he is that good at manipulating people, is he good enough to manipulate the United States for his own private gains?
Well, I think what's happening with him is he's at this stage in his life, and he's looked at what he's done in the past, and I've actually heard him say this, and he's thinking that, I'm not going to live forever. I'm going to have to face God. Look what I've done. And he said to a group of religious leaders, he says, I feel like God wants me to do this to save America so I can save my own soul. And there's nothing more powerful than that, not money or anything else. If somebody's trying to get there, and I've seen many times where people have been sort of evil in their own way, trying to get all they could out of life, and then they get be 65 and 70 and almost want to give everything away because they feel like, they're not going to live much longer and they're going to have to face God.
It's going to be very interesting to see what he does about the firing of the cruise missile by Russia, which is in direct violation of a U.S.-Russian agreement, and what he's going to do about the surveillance ship that is just on the other side of the territorial limits off the coast of the United States.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Putin's pushing things like this. He should be working with Trump a little bit, and but he's going to see how far he can get. This all goes back to the book I wrote, Brainwashed Are You? Who can say we're not in the end times? Certainly too many things are happening too quick to say that this isn't all part of the plan that's in the Bible and been there for thousands of years. And so it's interesting to see how this plays itself out. We just have to sit back and watch. But, you got to look at both sides of the coin. Hopefully Trump's going to straighten the country out. If not, it'll turn into anarchy and America will fail. And that'll be the end of the United States of America as we know it. Or this could be a situation where he grows in power and takes over the Western world, and next thing you know, you got this World War III situation developing.
But let me ask you this: if these are the end time, as you hypothesized, who's the Antichrist, Trump or Putin?
Well, he would be the Antichrist. And a lot of people are confused; they think he comes from an African country, but that's not what the Bible says.
All right, so who's the Antichrist in your opinion? If these are indeed the end times, is it
I'd
Trump
say
or
you have
Putin?
to look at Trump as the number one guy right now because of the circumstances associated with who he is, how he came to power. The Bible says that he comes to power in a most unusual way. Wouldn't you agree that Trump came to power in a most unusual way?
If he would have started from nothing and had been just a common person like you and I, without the assets behind him to actually make the run for presidency a viable possibility, I would say, yes, it was unusual, but the way that he did it with the amount of backing, support, financial capabilities that he had, I don't find it that unusual.
Well, it is unusual that everyone said he didn't have a chance, and because he wasn't a politician, he didn't have a lot going for him. I mean, if you look at something, this, just in videos of the different people he criticized, it just goes on and on and on and on. And you're thinking, how in the world that a man could say this many bad things about this many people and still get to be elected president? That in itself is amazing.
Senator McCain has come out today very, very strong against Trump, which is nothing unusual for McCain.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham, again, came out very strong against President Trump. Again, nothing unusual. But senators who have sat in the back on the Democratic side are voicing their opinions, and even some of the Republicans, like Senator Graham, like McCain, and others are coming forward and saying, hey, something is wrong here. There's supposed to be 52 cards in the deck, and it seems that this deck has way more than what are supposed to be used for fair play. So how do we, worst comes to worst. Okay, here, let me give you this scenario. An investigation is conducted. It is seen that Trump did have something to do with Russia. He knew what Flynn was up to. Russia was indeed involved in the hacking of the vote. What happens? What kind of chaos will what type of chaos will ensue in the United States, and how will the United States of America be able to survive this?
Well, like I say, if Trump doesn't succeed, it's not going to survive anyway. But getting back to what you just said was, there WikiLeaks and others have said it came from the NSA. And that's our agency. And another guy came out and said that it came from about 12 different agencies because they were afraid that if Hillary got in, America was finished. So, certainly the Russians have played a role. They always do in our elections, and particularly recently. For one, Putin came out and said that if, Hillary Clinton's elected president, there'll be war. I mean, that's a pretty profound statement that he came out and actually said.
Well, let's face it, Hillary Clinton would have been the worst thing that ever happened to the United States. In my opinion, this lady should have been shunned from politics as soon as it was discovered what her play was in Benghazi, when she had her private server, the Clinton Foundation, and the list goes on and on and on. Then you've got Elizabeth Warren, who in my opinion is a psychopathic idiot, who is doing everything she can to grandstand to get ready for the 2020 run. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hillary stuck her foot back into the political arena. But as a Canadian who remembers very well the time when Kim Campbell, Canada's first female prime minister, was elected, she ruined the party and was booted out within 6 months as prime minister. I'm sorry, I'm not being a male egotistical person. I'm just saying the way it is. You know what? There are many women in history who have proven themselves to be great leaders. Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria, Margaret Thatcher, and there are other great women out there. But the writing, in my opinion, was on the wall with Hillary. So was it the best of two evils that the American people were faced with?
Exactly, and that's another thing I was talking about earlier. This was an unusual election. The guy came about in an unusual way. Who would have ever thought that the Democrats would have picked such a poor candidate to put all their faith behind? And, it's unusual that, like I said, someone like Trump got in because he was so bombastic and, went after so many different people. It's very unusual. Highly unusual. We've never seen anything like this before.
Laura and I were in the States a couple of weeks ago. I was one of the speakers at the Para-Unity Conference in Fellsmere, Florida, and then we had some research to do for a TV special that we're doing. And we were in the Caribbean. There is no middle ground when it comes to how people feel about President Trump. It's either they love him to death or they hate him to death. There's no middle ground. You and I have to take a break, Richard. Please stand by. X Zone Nation, Richard deRose is our very special guest, good friend of the X Zone, www.brainwashedareyou.com. And Rich and I will continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Wi-Fi Broadcast Network, Digital Satellite Network, and the list goes on and on and on. Visit us online at xzoneradiotv.com. And you can always send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? I'm Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and on The Secret to Everything, we will merge the practical with open investigation into all realms of the mysterious. We will talk to cutting-edge alternative health practitioners, those who inspire and motivate you in business and life, and of course, we will share stories of the paranormal, conspiracy, and cryptozoology. You will transform because of the frequency I carry, the frequencies my guests carry. Life may never be the same after you listen to this program, for the secret to everything is for you, the listener, for those who desire more in every area of their lives and believe that it can still be found. Listen and discover thesecrettoeverything.com.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Exonation, Richard deRose is our guest, www.brainwashedareYou.com. During the commercial break, you and I were chatting about the media versus we the people. And I used to watch CNN. I don't watch CNN now. I think they are the most biased news outlet. I don't even call them news anymore. It seems that no matter what time of day, no matter who it is, the people that they hire have questionable ethics. They are totally slanted, and it seems that they go out of their way to do everything they can to discredit the president and the administration and those people in the United States who voted the president into power. You talk about pay for play. My God, every network news channel out there seems to be against the president. Is this all part of the fact, in your opinion, Rich, because he isn't the typical Washington elite who usually gets into power?
Absolutely. He sort of betrayed them. He was a part of the system, making as much money as he could, this, that, and the other, so they loved him when that happened. But then all of a sudden he comes around and just, goes after what America needs, not what they want. And so you've got this huge amount of pressure to destroy him, and it's not working. Like I say, most people want security and safety and to keep things the way they are, and Trump promises to do that for them because he's trying to straighten out these abuses of the system, which most people feel like is going to fail. But there's that 20-30% that you'll never convince that that Trump is right, no matter what he does. If he's enormously successful, creates jobs, this, that, and the other. But one of the biggest problems we're going to have, and because of some of the policies he's doing, we're going to have jobs all over the place, and we're going to need foreign labor. unless these millennials get out there and start doing blue-collar jobs, because they're overeducated and they have these huge student debts and this, that, and the other, and they're living with their parents.
Wouldn't this be a great idea?
Majority of them are.
Wouldn't this be a great idea that if you are a student who owes a lot of money to the government for your education, work for the government, and as a bonus, you get certain percentages of your debt taken off of your debt load each and every year that you're a part of the government.
Mm-hmm.
An incentive plan.
I was going to say they may do that with some of these work programs as he's talking about, this infrastructure stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, we don't need any more government employees. We're just
I mean, for example, if President Trump comes up with a project that creates new jobs, put these people who are unemployed, who are overqualified, like so many brainiacs out there that are unemployed, put them to work, lower your standards, pick up a
and he's got common sense. He'll probably do exactly that.
Yeah.
Because that's how he operates. He sees a problem, and he sees the way to fix it, and he goes for it.
How do we fix
Everybody else plays games.
How do we fix the problem of sanctuary cities and sanctuary states?
Well, exactly what he's doing, offering to cut off or forcing the money out of there. They'll come around. Look at Governor Brown, for example, in California. He had that spillway problem now, and he's asking the president, who was not his president 2 weeks ago, the president, for some kind of relief for the very thing that if they hadn't spent so much money on, immigration and people that shouldn't have been here to start with, which is about half their population, they could have fixed that spillway where it would have never, gone bad. And now it threatens to, erode the dam and everything else. And if all that water comes down, you've lost a city.
We, like I was saying, Rich, we were away when the when the travel ban was brought before the first court, and I could not believe it. And there were, I don't know how many people were in the area where we were watching the press conference and we were watching the results. And when it came out that the court stayed the executive order, everyone was shocked. Everyone was shocked that the courts actually went against the president, who had the legal rights to do what he did. And then you see all these morons blocking the airports. And then you had all the Muslims who went to JFK and they did a prayer session inside of the airport. Like, doesn't anybody remember 9/11? Hello?
Well, these people are milkers, and they're going to milk the system. They're going to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. That's what I talk about in Retail to Hell. Until there's no system left, and this is the way they operate. They don't care about the future. They don't care about anything but themselves right here, right now. They don't care about their children. And, that's what the conservatives, the deplorables, as Hillary called them, they want a future for America, and we owe that to America, is to give it a future. We can't take everything for ourselves, and Trump's trying to do that. He's trying to fix the system, and they won't allow him to do that. But the Supreme Court, the 9th District, it'll be overruled and this, that, and the other, but Trump's going to come out with a new executive order that makes it more difficult for them to do anything. So, it can all be fixed. But it does look bad in the sense that he's not winning. But he is winning because, like I say, behind the scenes, he's accomplishing a tremendous amount to fix this system.
But, he's winning. It's going to get overturned. But will it be too late? Will the country be infiltrated by those who have the ultimate goal of creating terrorist activities within the United States and to take as many lives as they can? Because this one judge decided to play God. And I love what Trump said. If anything goes wrong, it's on you.
Exactly, and that's exactly why he would be winning. The best thing that could happen to him, God forbid, is there be an incident like this. And I can tell you this for a fact. This has been going on for centuries. The situation with Muslims and Christians. Obama made it sound like we started the Crusades, or, white people did. But, they came into France and were headed towards, Great Britain, and they decided to do something about it. So it wasn't just a one-sided situation.
And
it's been going on for centuries.
And look at the mess that they are creating in England, in Germany, in France, in Turkey. Like they're just destroying these beautiful cities because they have
hate. They have hate in their heart.
That's right.
And that's all they care about, is destroying the West. The poor white man who represents the white man himself in the world population is only like 4.4%. Whites total with women is about 8.8%, but for some reason they hate us. And I think white people are starting to realize that. Before you thought, well, I don't hate you, why do you hate me?
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and that's going to change the dynamics of everything.
What do you think we have to look for in the next couple of days and weeks ahead when it comes to the turmoil that we're seeing in Washington, Rich?
Well, you'll see more, Trump beating up him and, his administration, more personal attacks against the people he selected. The rest of his 11 or 12, whatever there is left to be, confirmed, they'll get confirmed, and I think the Supreme Court justice will get in. There's always going to be fighting, and then it just makes the Democrats look worse because, they don't seem to stand for anything. And, give Trump a chance and see what he can do, and then if he doesn't do it right or if he's corrupt or this, that, and the other, go after him then. But he is the President of the United States, and he has every legal and moral right to do what he's doing. He's got the moral high ground here.
Okay,
and that always usually wins in the long run as long as you've got other people behind him. He's going to find people that normally would have gone along with the status quo, like we're talking about the media going against Trump because that's the status quo. He's going to have people within government that are going to stand tall with him and say, we've had enough. I got to think about my future, my kids' future, and this, that, and the other. And it's going to be hard for the media to pull off their narrative. Very hard.
Okay, Flynn is out. Christie was at the White House today. Somebody was talking about Rudy Giuliani. Which one of those two do you think would be a shoo-in for the National Security Advisor to replace
Well, I think
Flynn?
Kellogg might be the best one because he's already in that realm of things. There's just the situation with that, what is it called, Bridgegate?
Yep.
And this, that, and the other. So there are other people. General Petraeus would be good, but he had that scandal himself. But I think he can't actually serve till something like April, and then his, probation or whatever's over with. But, I mean, what a great man, and how they took him down was amazing.
But
even though I'm not for the war, I mean, he did a very thorough job of trying to win that war for us.
But isn't it dangerous not having a national security advisor fulfilling the duties and obligations that he should be reporting to the president at this time?
Well, Kellogg's going to take his place, and he was acting, second command. So we have somebody doing that. But and they think probably he'll get the job. He's very capable himself. And but the situation that Trump should have never appointed him. I mean, he just had some bad stuff with this Pizzagate situation, him and his son, this, that, and the other. But I think the fact that Obama fired him made him more appealing to Trump because he was an outlier.
Right.
And that was just something like, I'd like this guy on my team. And he supported him in the very beginning. So he was going to pay him back, but it was a mistake. And Trump realized it, and he moved on.
Hey, Rich, it's that time where you and I have to say so long for now. Let our listeners know where they can get copies of your books, my friend.
Well, you can go to brainwashedareYou.com, or you can get them on Amazon.com.
All right, Rich, let's get together next week and see what happened in the next 7 days. Always great having you on the show, my friend, and look forward to the next time you and I chat.
Okay, it's going to be a ride, like I told you before. A lot of drama in all this.
It is, my friend.
A lot at stake.
All right, listen, take care of yourself and keep the great work up.
Okay, thank you.
Take care, Rich. Exo Nation, Richard deRose has been my guest. He'll be back with us next week. And if you'd like to find out more about Richard, visit him online at www.brainwashedareYou.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Wi-Fi Broadcast Network. Let me see who else is there. There is the Sirius Digital Broadcast Network, Digital Satellite Network, and the list goes on and on and on. I am Rob McConnell. You're listening to us from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I'll be back. Don't go away.